Reading, learning, growing, creating, while building, living, thinking, healing, loving, loving, building, writing while black. Good morning and welcome to Writing While Black. I am your host, Ayoka B, and our co-host, Angela, is here. And this morning we have Ruth Redmond. Ruth Redmond is the author of a memoir, Within the Fire, I Found My Voice. She's a native Washingtonian, like your girl, and a breast cancer survivor. Ruth had a 27-year career in the DC and EMS fire department, beginning as a career firefighter. She also served as one of the first female fire investigators, hazmat technicians, and retired as an International Code Council and Charter School Fire Inspector. I had to make sure I got all that right. As a mother of 3 daughters and a fun-loving, energetic grandmother, Ruth seeks to inspire through her memoir, wanting people to find their voice. So I'm going to jump right in, but I want to read something from the jacket of her memoir. In this compelling memoir, Within the Fire, I Found My Voice, discover a truly inspiring journey that transcends the darkness to embrace the brilliance of life's possibilities. I love that. So I just wanted to read that. And I really love the cover because my daughter was a STEM student. So she was a scientist, and I've always been involved in STEM activities for girls and non-traditional careers for girls. So I was really, really excited about having you as a guest. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you again. And before I get into my questions, is there anything that you want to add to your intro that I didn't say?
Not really. That summed everything up. The only thing that's different that I'm working on now is a children's book and another book.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
While we're here. My first question was, how did you decide to become a firefighter?
Good question. To be honest with you and transparent, that's what my book is about. I never wanted to be one. My father wanted to be one, and back in those days, I was told they weren't hiring Blacks. So my father had a fire scanner ever since I was in elementary school. And I hated to hear that. I mean, as soon as he wakes up, he turns it on until he goes to bed. Then, as I said in my book, I got mad at my mom because she would buy him another scanner when it gets old. Okay. And then just a couple of times I would just sit there and listen, and I would hear the dialogue of when the fire calls go out with the other guys and, the fires and the box alarm and all that. So that kind of intrigued me a little bit, but I still wasn't interested. But to be honest, they gave a test, and I just went with my 2 male cousins just to see if I would pass. I still did not have no idea it would lead me to join in the department. So I wound up passing, and I talked to my parents, and they said, go for it. And that's what I did.
But Oh, go ahead, Miss Ruth. I'm sorry.
I said I had no interest, none.
When I was reading, somehow I had the feeling that your uncles were involved with the fire department. So that was I thought it was like a family thing. Your dad had the scanner, your uncle. So I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that.
Yeah, no. And now that you mention it, jumping a little further, in one of the first fires that I had, and when I got back to the station, I got so many phone calls, and those were my uncles and other people calling me, and they're like, hey, did you have your helmet on right? Did you have your gloves on securely? Did you have your Nomex hood? A Nomex hood is like a hoodie, but it protects my hair. So I had to make sure my hair was covered and over my forehead. So, but no, I knew they were on the job, but that still didn't give me the interest. Mm-mm.
So they were on the job. And when you say now that they weren't accepting black people, at some point I was thinking it seemed like there was there were black firefighters and white firefighters. It seemed like there were already black firefighters when you
Oh
became
yeah.
a black. Okay.
Yeah, when I came up, but when my father wanted to years ago,
He wasn't able
yeah,
to.
and
Okay.
yeah, and my mother, I remember her saying she remembers only being stationed at one particular station where all the blacks were. But yeah, and to be honest, my father, because he was electronic technician, he helped me in my probation when we had to do pump evolutions and math because I'm not good in math. He was the one that helped me go through that. So he really was into that fire service.
So you said your mom said there was only one station that had black firefighters at that time. Do you remember where that station was?
Yeah, I don't know if that was the only one, but according to her, she said it was at Engine 7 in Southwest. That's where they stationed the black firefighters.
Okay.
And I can't, she never told me what year that was. So, but no, when I came on the job, it was definitely diverse. It wasn't a lot of females, but it definitely was diverse.
Right. Okay. So what made you decide to write the memoir?
This book was in the making for years, and it all started after I was diagnosed and had my surgery for breast cancer. And while I'm laying in bed, I would look at my phone and I would see other females um, talking about their breast cancer, and they were in the fire department, but not in DC. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in the nation's capital, a female firefighter. I need to voice, show my voice, let them hear my voice. Why? And I said in my book, I stopped saying why me to why not me. And that's when I said, you know what? I need to do something about it. So I really wanted to be an advocate for breast cancer. And a friend of mine, she also had a podcast and she asked me to be on it. And we talked about breast cancer. And she asked to put it on her social media. I put it on mine. It got so many hits that a lot of people said, you need to put that in a book. And I'm like, really? So it took me that long, but it took me 2 years to write this book, my memoir. So that what gave me the inspiration to do it because of the requests that they saying, you probably can, you've been through so much and look at you now, you're going to help other people. Put it in the book. So that's what I did.
Okay. So had you written anything before that?
Nope.
No. First time out the
Nope.
gate with a memoir. Wow. Memoir is hard.
And I was told that. And a lot of people ask, um, how did you come about? What's your genre of getting the book done? It always have to be after 8 o'clock at night, sitting on my couch. I had my phone. I had old school thesaurus. I had an English book. All that's late, and I had a lot of sticky notes that when thoughts come in my head in my bedroom, I was writing it on sticky notes. So believe me, my couch was full of sticky notes, and I had to sit there and put all that stuff together. So lesson learned, I have a journal beside my bed, and I don't know why it comes at me at night, but just like this other book that I'm allegedly doing, my thoughts come in my head around 3 and 4 in the morning. So I already have a lot of pages already down packed for the next book.
Okay, so that's a perfect segue. Uh, Tell us as much or as little as you want to tell us about your next book.
Well, I did a lot to try to network and get myself out there. I did a lot of book events and I was vendors, and I got a lot of feedback that say you should do a children's book about a female, little black little girl want to be a firefighter. So I said, I'm tired of talking about the fire department, but they were like, but we need to see that. I went to a book event this year, and I'm going next year to New Orleans. And some of the people were so ecstatic because they said that they never saw a Black female firefighter. And I'm like, and they was asking me, was I the first one? And I'm like, looking real puzzled, like, where y'all? No, 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 no. But then I thought about doing, no, the main thing they kept asking, okay, this book is a memoir that talks about you and it introduces us to you being in the fire service. This one guy said, you did 27 years on the job. You were an EMT, correct? I said, yeah. He said, I know you got 27 stories to tell. Put that in the book. And I'm like, I'm tired of talking about the fire department, but that's what I'm doing because I do have stories. And I said, this time I'm not going to hold back because I want the people, my audience to know what we go through, but what I went through as a female firefighter and a mother. I had to juggle both.
Okay, so this upcoming book is you telling stories about actual
Actual scenes I've been on.
The when you get sent out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh.
One in my memoir, when I told them the different jobs that I was promoted to, and when I became a fire investigator, I had fire autopsy, and I actually went to the morgue. And I said in my book, it's too graphic, so I'm not going to tell you what I went through. This book, I'm going to be graphic, and I'm just being transparent to let them know, excuse me, that basically I had to do my job 24 hours a day with the fire department. And then I had to come home to be a mother. So how I juggled the both. And that's what the book about. But this book is really going to talk about a lot of the scenes that I've been through. I've seen a lot of gunshot wounds. I'm going to go graphic with that. Like I said, it's just going to be really transparent to let them know, wow, she really went through all this. And like in one of my speaking engagements, my title was I May Not Look the Part because I am. And a lot of people can't tell that I was a firefighter because they just look at me as like you. And they definitely can't tell that I'm a breast cancer survivor. So this book is going to let them know.
So specifically, this next book is through the lens when you served as an EMT?
Well,
no? Across the board, everything.
Everything.
Okay.
Because now you have to, but when I came on the job, when we went to the academy to become a firefighter, you have to become an EMT at the same time. Right. So I'm a basic EMT.
Okay. And has that changed? I thought they still had to do that.
Oh yeah, no, they have to now.
Right.
They have to.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of people before me, they didn't have to be EMTs. Yeah, so a lot of the older people that retired and all, they didn't have to be EMT, but I don't know if it started with my class, but yeah, and now it's mandatory. And that's the problem with some of the students when they have the cadet program. And a few people have called me so I can talk to their kid. And I tell them the hardest part is the EMT. And if you don't pass the EMT, you're not going to become a firefighter. Because they have to take that seriously. I tell them get the file cards, all those numbers. You got to remember the blood pressure, the respiration of the adult, the infant, the child. It's no joke because this is real life that you're talking about when you go to an actual scene. So there's no faking it. Right. So, but that's the hardest part is passing the EMT.
Okay. Because it's a lot of medical information.
Basic medical, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So can you talk a little bit more about the children's book?
Yes. I have a few chapters, and like I told my editor, I don't know why I'm making it so hard because I'm going too deep in depth, and it's hard for me to level down on a child's level to talk about. Even though I used to go to the schools to teach fire safety, I can't be too specific. I have to go their level. And that's what's holding me back. And I don't know why I'm making it so hard. but I do have a chapter or two, and it's again about allegedly a little female that went to the firehouse and she met a female firefighter, which is supposed to be me.
Okay.
And that's what gave her the courage and say she want to become a female firefighter. So I want the book to be a lesson learned as well. Like I want to talk about the gear we wear and explain each piece why it's important, and also to let them know they can't be scared when they see us with that gear on. So it's little nuggets that I want to put in the book. And hopefully the schools will, will use it.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be cute.
Yeah, it's going to be about fire safety all the way around.
I don't have to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The illustrator that you pick is going to be key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's make it's not Ruthie because you are the firefighter that she meets, but whomever
Right.
she is. Let's make
I have the name as Ella.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Ella has
So
the big natural hair.
see that I thought about the point, and then the thing is, I don't know what age. So that's also that I was stuck on, because I'm like, I don't want to go too young, but I don't want to go too old, but because I'm teaching fire safety, like one of the titles might be turn the handles on a pot inside, not hanging out. So it's like, how do I do that? Do I act like
Uh-oh. What happened? What happened? Oh no. Hello? Oh no. What happened? Oh.
Happened. And I'm like, nothing happened. You were
What
frozen.
happened? Yeah.
yeah, you froze?
Okay. Y'all
We
was
heard you
frozen
say
to
what
me.
happened. We heard you say what happened, and then you were like,
Okay. Okay, the last thing I heard was turning the handles.
Yeah, I want to
On the
do
stove
fire
sometimes.
safety. Yeah, like that. Yeah, because again, being in the fire service, I went to plenty of fires they call food on the stove, because somebody left food on the stove burning. And then I taught seniors, and that was one of the major things we tell them, not to, wear loose clothes when they over the burner, but also turn the handles backwards, because if it's facing and you accidentally hit the handle, somebody's going to get burned.
Right. Right.
So, and it's other little small tidbits like that maybe a 9-year-old can do, or help out, or teach an adult that. So that's
Right.
what the book is going to be about.
I was thinking you could do about 8 years old, because you also have to think about they're going to be parents or grandparents
Mhm.
reading it to the child too. So if it's something that you think an 8-year-old may not fully grasp, just remember that
Mhm.
someone is probably going to be reading to them, or even a teacher or the
Mhm.
librarian. So, think about that couple reading, that buddy reading too.
Mhm. And then I went to a book event, and it was a children's book event because I took my grandson with me to get ideas. And this one lady on her table, she had flashcards, and she make it as a game, and the question was up front, and I guess the kid would turn it, or you can turn it around and the answers in the back. And I'm like, I like that idea as well.
That could be a companion
Yeah.
to the book.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cute. Okay. Angela, you can tag in. I got some more, but
all right. So for those people who are listening on Spotify, you may not be able to see Miss Ruth's beautiful gray hair. We were talking about hair with the natural hair a moment ago. Ayoka, you mentioned, is the character going to have big natural hair, the little baby girl? But this is kind of totally off the subject, but
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate seeing a woman with gray hair because it's so rare. I don't know if you experienced that, but it's so rare and it's so beautiful and you wear it so
Yeah.
well. Um,
Thank you. I get a lot of compliments. Actually, I used to get teased. They used to call me what's the name, Cruella from the Disney, because
DeVille.
it was a little bit of gray, but it was all black.
Okay.
And when I had natural braids, because I had knee surgery, and I didn't do anything to it, and they said it's going to fully come all the way down, and eventually it just started coming all the way down, and I get so many compliments. And I even remember getting compliments from young females, and one of them, I mean, I was in the store with my daughter, and the other lady's young girl was like, I told you that was her real hair. And she's like, we get our hair dyed to look like that. And I'm like, this gray? And she said, no, that's platinum. I said, oh, excuse me. So I say, yeah, I got platinum hair. But my father was like this. My brother had a patch of gray since he was young. So I don't know if it's hereditary, but I was told that it doesn't look actually gray. It looks white.
Oh, yeah, there's variations of gray hair, but it's
Mhm.
from my perspective, just like with natural hair, I feel like it's nice to see people's natural color because
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like people feel like, oh, I can't, but it's like, yes, just be who you are, girl, just be who you
Mhm.
are. So I wanted to start there and
Thank
say
you.
that.
Thank you.
You talked a little bit about your process of writing the book. It has to be in the evening, even now. My juices are flowing in the evening, and I work with sticky notes or a journal. And I heard you mention an editor. Did you work with an editor on your first book?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And so, what was your process of finding an editor, and what was your experience like?
I found my editor through another coworker on the fire department, and I didn't know she had written a book. She's not on a job, but she written a book, and somehow we just connected. And she said, I can refer you to my editor. And I'm like, okay, cool. So me and Jessica Till has been together ever since. I didn't do a ghostwriter. Everything came from me. And it really got surreal for me when she said, I need pictures. And I'm like, wow, this is really about to happen. And one funny thing, when I sent her my pictures and she said, well, Ruth, we can't do, because I don't want you to get sued. You can't plagiarize any pictures or anything. So we might have to find another picture for your cover. And I said, that's me. And
Oh,
she was like,
Right.
yeah,
You.
yeah, this is me. Yeah.
Yeah.
what?
Let me just say that cover, I think I mentioned it before, but I absolutely love the cover.
Yeah, she added because the cover that I had was just the flames. And matter of fact, I was in California and I was at a restaurant and I was introduced to this young lady and her mom. And my girlfriend said, well, she's about to write a book. And she was like, oh, what's your title? Well, you got a cover? And I was showing her. And while I was scrolling through my phone to show her the flames, her daughter was like, is that you, Miss Ruth? As a firefighter? I said, yeah. Her mother said, oh, there's your cover right there, honey. And I said, I didn't want a picture of me. I
Okay,
did
so
not want a
let me
picture of
be
me.
clear. You just were gonna have flames. You weren't gonna be on the cover.
No, I did not. Nope.
Oh, I'm glad. See, look at God. That's why you ran into them and that whole incident
Yeah,
happened because that
yeah,
had to be the cover. It had to be.
yeah. And so the actual flaming part is what I had. And my editor incorporated it with my picture. But I just thought that was so funny when she said, you can't plagiarize a picture. And I'm like, that's me. She didn't know that that was me. And I had other pictures that my other coworker, who's a photographer now, he took a lot of pictures, but that one stood out the most. But I did it on a side because I didn't want a frontal picture. I don't
It's
know.
perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's
It
a
really
beautiful
is.
It's a beautiful image, and it looked like you to me. I'm like plagiarizing. Wait, that's not you. But yeah, okay.
That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
am
I
not
thought that was funny.
I was just gonna say I'm not a person who gravitates toward memoirs, but I always enjoy reading them when I read them. So I was very excited when I saw, oh, we're going to be reading that, our guest is a memoirist because I get to read a memoir. And as we're talking about the pictures, I had forgotten about that. Usually when I would get a paper book, a lot of times the pictures are all in the center and the paper is different, so you can tell, oh, there are pictures. And I would always start a memoir by looking at the pictures.
Yeah.
But in your story, it was a pleasant, we've already, spoiled it, but I was just pleasantly surprised when the pictures started coming up and they're mixed throughout. And it was I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I'm glad your editor suggested it because it definitely adds with a memoir, it adds it's nice to see
The flavor.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can.
It was relatable to each chapter. That's the
Yeah,
thing. Like
yeah,
this is a picture of me when I was an actual firefighter.
yeah, yeah.
I just got on. So, and I caught a lot of fires too. I caught a lot of fires. And that's how I gained my respect on the department. Because I joke, and I also have a good sense of humor. So I joke about it. And I said, like, one fire I came out of, and they were hitting my head. And I'm like, y'all act like we on a football team. Y'all gonna give me a headache. Stop hitting me, but that was their way of saying, and they would say, good job, Brooke. Good job, Brooke. And it finally hit me that I was welcome into the boys club.
So when you say you caught a lot of fires, you were involved with extinguishing more fires than the average firefighter. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
How can I say it? I was still in probation, and in my probation time frame, being at that station, whatever my work on that shift, and being the only female, we caught a lot of fires, and I did. And because I was in training, I was the one who held the hose and extinguished the fire. And we joke about it, but it seemed like it was true because my hair was very short. It was almost like yours, Ayoka. And believe it or not, I kept it short. But every time I would go to hairdresser and I would come to work, we would catch a fire. And it seemed like it was an omen. So the guys were like, oh, you're going to go to get your hair done? And I'm like, no. But it just seemed like every time I get my hair done, we caught a fire. And I had some heavy duty fires where it was no joke. The heat, that's why I said this next book is going to be transparent. The heat, and that's why I want to explain to kids and even adults why we wear so much stuff and how protected we are. Because another fire I went to, and it was in a bedroom, and while we were going up the stairs, you can feel the heat. And they kept saying, open up the pipe, rookie. So when I was opening it, because that's how hot it was, steam was popping everywhere. So it was in the bedroom. So when we got in the bedroom, I opened up, you did your 360, I put the fire out, and I kept noticing my forehead was burning. Come to find out, when I went down, got out the building and everything, I had steam burns all the way across my forehead. So the chief ordered me directly to go to the hospital, which was down the street. And yeah, and I'll also mention, but I'm also going to mention more, that when we go into a fire, like that fire was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it looked like it's 3 or 4 in the morning. It's dark when we go into a fire until it's extinguished, and then that's when you see daylight again. So again, being transparent, we're trained to do that, but we can't see anything.
Yeah.
We're crawling on the floor and we're feeling to see it. And then you can hear the crackling, or sometimes you can see the orange glow, and then you say, okay, it's in there.
Yeah, that was particularly striking when you mentioned that it was like midnight inside, even though it wasn't. So I remember that. So, okay.
And
Go
one
ahead.
tidbit that I used to teach for adults and seniors, but mainly adults in the house, count how many stairs you have that leads you to your front door. Because when it's dark, you can't see anything and people panic. So if you count, I have 15 steps going down and I have 15 steps going to my front door. I think that's a little tidbit to help people if something like that happens. So those are the kind of nuggets that I would love to continue to do teaching on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. And
And I
that's
heard,
the thing,
oh,
something like that, that's something that a child could really remember.
Mm-hmm.
And they like stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
15 steps to the front door, 15 steps down to the sidewalk, or, whatever.
Yeah. I stay on social media, and that's how I get my networking. And I'm on PBS, and I saw a clip where this guy, male firefighter, was on PBS teaching a little bit of fire safety. And I'm like, I got to get on. I sent the letter out or a question to ask, how could I, do I send a proposal? How can I be on the show? Because they need to see also a female firefighter can do it too.
They do.
But I haven't heard anything back yet.
Would you consider doing it for DC?
As a what?
Maybe like, I don't know, I haven't looked to see their social media presence or whatever, but maybe that's something that you could do for them.
Yeah. Now again, it's like I don't want to, because I even thought about it doing it out here in Maryland, but I said I didn't want to step on toes because they have their own fire prevention division
Mhm.
and their safety person and all that. So, but at the same time, somebody said, well, you still have the experience and it's your thing. So I don't think it would coincide. I don't think they would. I don't know.
Right. And I mean, you make the proposal and let them
Yeah.
decide, because
Yeah.
you're an actual, retired firefighter. And again, you are a woman,
Mm-hmm.
a Black woman. And when if someone is thinking strategically, you're thinking about recruitment of the next
Mm-hmm.
generations of firefighters. So recruiting women and getting little girls interested, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that would go a long way. I say make the proposal and let them decide.
I'm thinking, and I don't know if you tried to send your book through publishers or not, but as an independent author, sometimes instead of asking other people, it may just be something that you do on your channels and on your outlets. The political climate is changing a little bit, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. I'm not sure people are really going to be looking for representation of Black folks and or women and things like that. But I think that like through your social media channels, you might be able to provide guidance and help for people and be a part of saving people's lives just with your own voice on your own terms. So if it's something you feel called to,
Mm-hmm.
you might just start doing it.
And it's funny that you said that, Miss Angela, because I was also on another podcast of a gentleman, and he introduced me to everybody, and then he said, "Can you, talk to me after the show is over?" And I'm like, "Sure." And as soon as he got off the phone, off the podcast, he said, "Do you have a podcast? And why not?" I said, "No, you need a podcast." And I'm like, and he's like, "No, Ruth. You can go on that podcast. You can read a chapter in your book or two chapters. And then after that, people might be so intrigued, they're going to return whenever you do your podcast. So you can read the next chapter, or then you can talk about fire safety, especially when it's fire prevention month. And then you can talk about breast cancer. You need a podcast. So it's in the back of my mind.
Right. That you should do it on your own terms, but specific to DC, you and I know the makeup of DC versus the one that they try to portray. And
Right.
there are a lot of little girls there that you can reach. So whether it's partnering with DC Fire Department or doing it on your own to target DC for that recruitment
Mhm.
and a future pathway, because everybody isn't going to college. Everybody doesn't want
Yeah. Mm-mm.
and
The one thing about my department, DC, I'm giving them kudos, DC Fire Department, is a lot of lay people don't know the positions and what we do. And like the rescue squads, that's their main goal, is to rescue people. And when we say there's people trapped, oh my gosh, they are on it. They are on it. They don't play around with that. So that what you were mentioning, Miss Angela, that's one thing the DC Fire doesn't. They don't play with that. No, they don't care what race it is. They're going to go in and save you.
I want to go back a little while. You said you wrote the book, and then I almost felt like you're back writing about fire related stuff, but there may be some other things that you would love to write about. So I'm wondering if there are other stories that you would like to tell that aren't fire related, or do you feel like since everybody's pushing me in this lane, I'm gonna just embrace the fire?
And I'm glad you said that, because they were pushing me into go in that lane. Because to be honest with you, I started writing an ideas of a fiction book, and that was my goal before I started even thinking about the children's book or this other book. And I even had the title. Matter of fact, I got
we
accepted.
still doing that, Miss Ruth. We still doing that.
Yeah, I never wrote poems before. And one of the publishing that I did book events with, I still keep in contact. And he put on his page, I'm doing an anthology of poetry. Submit. And I'm like, you know what? That's something new. That's a new genre for me. Let me try it. And my first poem I wrote is the title of the book that I was supposed to be writing, called Black Rose.
Black Rose. Okay.
About a female. So
Barrington lead song. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I sat here again, 8, 9 o'clock at night with papers everywhere. And I look up poetry because I'm like, okay, the poems that I read, everything don't have to be rhythmic.
Nope.
So that's what I had to learn.
Want it to be.
Yeah. So I wrote the poem Black Rose, and he accepted it. And he said, well, you can put up 3. They accepted all 3 of my poems, and I'll be in his anthology that's coming out in November. So now I'm writing poems.
He's a multi-genre writer.
I'm trying, I never imagined me doing this.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what genre your upcoming book Black Rose is in, and a little bit about the story without spoiling it? And maybe that'll stimulate some more after 8 p.m. writing on the Black Rose project.
It's geared towards the title, and it's about a young female who she had it going on, but she didn't realize she had it going on, and she wanted to experience the outside life. But she would always go back to her grandmother in the country, and the grandmother had a garden house, and she would go in there, the grandmother give her nuggets about life and back in the day and what she went through. And she was always watering her plants inside that garden house. And it was one particular area, she had a box of roses, and she was planting them. And she said, eventually they're going to grow. It's like lesson learned. So the bottom line is, the grandmother passed away, left her the entire house. And after she realized her life was in turmoil and she didn't have to be that way, she flipped the script and tried to turn her life around. She got together with an old friend that she pushed away. They wound up being married. But anyway, after the funeral, she went to the house, was walking around, and then she went to that garden house, and she sat on the bench and was crying and was thinking about all the things her and her granny would talk about and everything. And then she just happened to look in that box, and all the roses were blooming, and there was a black rose. And that made her stand out, because her grandmother used to always say, you stand out. You stand out. And a black rose Everything else was red, but that one was a black rose.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for a lot of different reasons. Okay, but one, I love anything where we're glorifying Black instead of being like, you know, the opposite of that. So but when I was reading your work, your voice reminded me of J. California Cooper's voice, the way that you write. And what you just described in terms of your book, it kind of seems like a similar, it brings me more to mind of her. Have you read J. California Cooper? And that opens up a broader question about your history with reading. What do you like to read? What did you read as a young person? Did you hate reading? What's your background? And do you know Miss J. California Cooper's work?
No, I don't. And that's the thing. I'm starting to, and that's amazing because me starting to write, I haven't read any other books, any other author books in a while. Now, I do take granted, and I give kudos to this one lady. She's an attorney. I went to her book signing and we became friends ever since. And I love the title of her book. And she inspired me because she went through a lot and she put it in writing. And that also inspired me to do the same. But back when I was young, I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of reading. But I did like V.C. Andrews. I was a Steven Spielberg. Oh, yes. Yeah. So I did that kind of genre, but something serious like that, no. Nope. I wasn't into that. And me and my girlfriend and her mom, we would exchange books after we had our own little private book club. But I've never been into a book club, still not in a book club. It's just, I don't know. It just came to me naturally. And like I said, I've never imagined me writing poems. So, no, I haven't read any other author books yet. I mean, I want to go to their book signings and learn about them, but surprisingly, no.
J. California Cooper, she's great. She does mostly short stories, but she's not a new author. She's I don't know her. She's older than me. I don't know her exact but she's
made her transition. I didn't want to say that without double checking, but she passed away in 2014. But that's what I was thinking, but I'm like, I don't want to say that. Okay.
Yeah. That's why I started kind of hesitating. I was like, "This she?" But yeah, her writing is fantastic. I'm a big fan. I have many of her books, but
yeah,
I just wanted to shout her out real quick.
Yeah, I think that if you wanted to start read that might be in terms of that might be, if you read her work, some of the stories that you have inside of you, you may see like, oh, this is, I don't know, it feels like there may be something for you there. Maybe not, but maybe. So I would say go and read. If I were to give you a book prescription, I would say read something from J. California Cooper, but I'm not in a position to give prescriptions. But if I was, that's what I would say.
Book prescription. All right, bibliotherapist Angela.
Yeah, we going back to M. Rumble.
I have, what was I going to say? Oh, the new one that you're working on, not the children's book, is that you're telling stories. It just occurred to me, is it a novel or is it going to be like short stories? A book of short stories, or you don't know yet?
It sounds like it's more it sounded like it's more autobiographical, like more telling your real life stories.
It's what I'm geared towards is an anthology, and I'm ready. I'm talking to my editor, so because she did an anthology, and I know it has rules and specifics, and I don't want to. If I do an anthology with other females, I don't want to hold a lot of co-authors because I'm new at this. But I also want to set the precedence of what is expected, so they won't think, "Oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." So, but this anthology, I wanted of other females that has been through some stuff but how they pulled out of it and what they're doing now successfully. Like,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what I really want. But if I
Okay.
don't get any females to do it, then it's just going to be about me. And like I said, because I was requested so much to tell them about the different scenes and scenarios that I went through being on the job for 27 years. So if it is an anthology with other females about their strengths and how they pull through things, do the fire, I'm gonna have my chapters inadvertently in different areas. Like I might have one or two chapters, then I have that co-author's chapter about her story, another one, then I'll do another story of me. So I'm thinking to go that route. So, and then I don't know if it's going to be a paperback or hardback. And that was another thing I'm still learning, because with this memoir, that's why my pictures weren't in color, because she said, that costs more for the color print. And so I'm still learning. I'm still learning. So again, with this anthology, is it going to be paperback or hardback? Not sure yet. But I do want to have it out by 2026, because I told Michelle Jackson in New Orleans that I'm coming back next year to her big event that was really nice in New Orleans, but I want to come back with another book.
What's the event?
It's called Black Authors, and it's Pen Posse, but it's Michelle Jackson. She's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she, like I said, I'm just
roundtables.
Yeah, I'm just finding out about her maybe 2 years ago. That's what I said, networking. And I missed the first time at New Orleans. So that June, I was like, I'm not going to miss this one. And it was great because we met all the other authors Friday. Then Saturday, everybody, all the vendors were there with their books. And I networked, met new authors. And then just the venue was beautiful itself. And I got a lot of feedback from my book. And I said, I want to go back again, but this time I don't want to just bring my memoir. I want another book on the table. So I got to get started, because she's already putting it out that it's going to happen in June 2026.
All right.
You better get to writing, Ruth.
That's one of the things that I missed in your memoir, so I'm glad to hear that you're working on them, is the balancing children and motherhood. I mean, children and life, like, motherhood and life. It was like, I wanted to know more about how you manage that.
And that's what the book is going to be about.
Right. So I definitely, applaud that. And, so, and then I love when you just said the thing about, I don't look the part, and how, we judge a book by its cover, and you think that you know something about somebody because of how they look. And you really, I feel like, does anybody really look the part? But I just thought that was a really intriguing concept. So like maybe your anthology with Don't Look the Part, it could be women who, they don't look like they've gone through something, but they've gone through, but anyway, yeah. What do you love most about the process of writing, and also being a writer, being an author, having a book out? And what do you find most challenging about the process of writing and about having a book out and promoting your book?
The most challenging is putting the ideas together. That was, just going back thinking, what did I do? How am I going to reach my audience? I don't want it to be boring. I want it to be captivating so that they can continue reading and I catch their eye. So that was my challenge. And it was kind of hard. I guess that's why it took me almost 2 years to write the book, because it was really hard to get my thoughts together and to incorporate them into a chapter so it won't be all over the place. And in my memoir, I also had to invite some of my family members to make sure that I was telling the truth, because a memoir is true. And so everything in that book was transparency. And like in the beginning, I had to get permission from my mom to say certain things. And she said, yeah. So I think, like I said, when the book started, when I started getting all these chapters together, and then finally when my editor would say, I need this from you and that from you, that's when it hit me that, oh my gosh, this is about to happen. And what really was inspiring and really opened my eyes and said, I did this. The day of my birthday, which is coming up soon, I open up my email and it says, congratulations, Amazon has accepted your book. That was on the day of my birthday. So that was the best birthday present ever. And I had some of my close female friends over the house and they thought it was celebrating my birthday. And I'm like, no, guess what? My book was published in Amazon. So that, even some friends now keep saying Ruth, they call me author Ruth. And I'm like, I'm not author Ruth. Yes, you are. You got to acknowledge it. Why are you not acknowledged? You are an author. And it's still, sometimes now it still doesn't dawn on me like, yeah, I am. And one of the, I did another speaking engagement. And one thing that I said, see, I'll be saying these nuggets and I write it down. And I got a lot of feedback when I said, challenge the challenger. And it was like, oh, that's deep. I like that. And I'm gonna write that. Right. Yeah, and that's what I did. I challenged myself. And I'm challenging myself with these books, another book. And like I said, I challenged myself writing poetry. I did 3 poems and all 3 were accepted. So I'm excited for that book to come out in November.
Happy pre-early birthday.
Thank
Yay,
you.
another year
Yeah.
coming. So what has the process been of promoting your book? I hear you saying that you go to a lot of book events, you got stuff planned for next year. Are you feeling good about the response that you've gotten in terms of selling? Is that a marketing strategy that you would recommend to other authors? Go to book events, you're going to sell a ton of books. What's your experience been like?
For the layperson in the beginning, yes, especially because I was self-published. I didn't go to a publishing company. So that's the difference. And because I just started out and I didn't know, I'm new to this genre. I said, no, I'm not going to a publishing company. I'll do self-publishing and learn from there. Like I said, I'm still learning, but I went to a lot of books. I put myself out there. My book was actually accepted into 2 libraries. I'm trying to reach DC library, but they still haven't reached out to me. That's why I want another book out. But and when the first library in Hyattsville, Maryland, accepted my book, I could not believe it. That book stayed charged out. Somebody would bring it back and it would go right back out. And it was like that for a long time. So I'm like, wow, they're reading my book. I have it out here because I live in Maryland, in Charles County, and it's in their library. It didn't get a lot of volume like it did in PG. So, but somebody mentioned to me and said, you need to go further than just doing these book events. So
what did they recommend? Like what do we other authors need to be doing to go further than book events? What was their suggestion?
Yeah, a couple of them wanted me to take on, and they were kind of like promoting me. And I thought about it, I said, but I'm already promoting myself. So I'm not going to pay you to do what I've already been doing. Because it's like,
so they were selling their services.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm already doing it myself.
Be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why I said, no.
Yeah.
My editor had already explained the difference of self-publishing and going with a publishing company. And I don't know if I would ever reach out to it because I know that they said with publishing companies, there's stipulations and they got to accept you. And then I don't know if they're going to ask me in 2 more years, you got to write another book. I don't know what the contract looks like. And I don't want that pressure on me right now. So I just said, I'll continue another self-publish.
Go ahead, Ayoka.
What does writing while Black mean to you?
Oh, strength, courage, letting the ancestors know that I'm here, that, letting the other Black females know that we can do this. I can do this. Like I said, challenge the challenger, let your voice be heard. I tell people, everybody has a story. Write that journey. Put it out there. So I've gotten a lot of inspirational feedback from a lot of females, and they said that I inspired them to do something, and that's what I was hoping that I did. A lot of them said it inspired them to write a book. Someone said it inspired them to do their entrepreneurship. So, and that's another thing that I'm trying to work on. Another friend of mine's helped me put my logo together for a T-shirt. And when I went to New Orleans, I wore that T-shirt and I got a lot of feedback. Oh, that's a cute T-shirt. So I actually reached out to one of the stores out here, matter of fact, Five and Below, and asked them, how do the vendors get their T-shirts in your store? Because I wouldn't mind putting my logo T-shirt in one of the stores. And someone said, well, when you have another book event, you thought about selling them? So it's something to think about.
It's
To
like
promote myself more.
right. I was going to say the world is wide open. There are a lot of things out there. So, is there anything else that you wanted to say that we didn't get to, or that you were prepared to say that we neglected to ask you about?
No, you both covered everything. Like I said, to promote and express my book and my next chapter, and I'm just trying to figure out my next journey. I'm proud to say, I can't believe it, but I'm proud to say Tuesday, is that the 30th? I'll be 63.
Yes.
And I just can't believe it. And, and then I'm like, now I'm seeing a lot of, as they call it, mod vintage, that they're starting their careers or doing different things at this age.
Yeah.
So that's my incentive. I can do it too.
Yes.
Just because I'm a senior don't mean I have to act like a senior.
Right. And how does
What does that even mean?
mean exactly? How do you act like a senior, girl? I don't know.
always,
I have to learn.
So I don't want to wake up in the morning complaining or
I
being
went to bed with
stagnant.
Bill and woke up with off.
Yeah.
You know what?
So, or saying I'm retired and I'm done. No, it's just beginning.
Right. All right. It was such a pleasure spending time with you and in your world, reading your memoir and also spending time with you here. And I can feel you and your book It's yeah. So thank you so much for writing and being a part of the process of being a writer and, growing and developing in that way and being a part of Writing While Black.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I'm glad I found you on social media. Like I said, I stay on there to network. And hopefully this will help me expand more and do more. And I'm just here to start my new chapter.
And don't be afraid of that podcast, Ruth.
Yeah, because he was like, you can do it in your car. You won't have to have a certain place or wherever to do a podcast. And I'm like,
But it can be fun learning new things and doing new things and trying different things, because you never know what's gonna, just like you wrote and now you writing poetry, things open the door to new things, and it's so much out here in the world that and also just from the way you moved into being a firefighter, it felt kind of like there were different things you explored, and so keep exploring. It's a whole world out here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Another thing you can consider, maybe going along with your anthology or however your next book takes shape, you can always do a limited podcast where you just do episodes that complement what you write about in those short stories. So, you can play with it, have fun with it, just another way to promote it.
That's true. Yes, that's true. I'm also an avid music lover, and the guy that I was on his podcast, he had me do another podcast. He does it every last Saturday of the month. I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow, but he has different new artists on here, and I'm like one of the judges, the panels that talk about the music.
Ah,
And he even said, "You do know a lot about music," because I would write down my notes, and they're like, "Okay, Ruth, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Well, I heard of this and that, or whatever, or she reminds me of NDRE, or whatever." So I also am a music lover, and I think that was also. I used to play the piano when I was young, and I quit because I wanted to be outside, and now I regret it. But my family were musically inclined, and a lot of them had, as they say, play by ear.
right.
So now I'm wondering if, even though I don't play anything, but I can hear certain instruments or whatever, and just focus on that. And I don't know. It's the music has to sound a certain way for me to be like, oh yeah, that was perfect. So I kind of want to do something with music too, but I don't know. We'll see.
The world is your oyster. The
Yeah, do
world
it.
is your oyster.
You follow your passions. That's what you do.
It sounds exciting. I like having stuff to look forward to, new stuff to learn and explore, and yeah, so it sounds very exciting and stimulating.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, I got my pen out because after we get finished, I'm gonna go right. Am I gonna go right? But I got my pen out.
Are you? Do you go right after we finish, or
I should.
you just
I
talking to
just,
talk?
I just talk the talk, but not right the wrong. But
Yes.
this is like a prayer or an affirmation. So maybe
Okay.
we go build on this. We gonna start by getting the pen on our hand, and then
Hmm.
the pen in our hand. But you're welcome. Those who are listening, those who are watching, those who are here, you're welcome to grab your pen and join us as we get ready to sign off. So.
Hmm.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Writing While Black. Keep writing, keep telling your stories. Right on, right on, right on. Ooh, wait, Ayoko, that was good. Right on. All right, ladies.
Hi.
Reading, learning, grinding, creating, while building, living, thinking, healing, loving, building, writing while black, black, black.